Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population and with little or no meaningful engagement lives a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
In a move that has stirred both support and skepticism, the Nigerian Senate has approved President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's request to secure a $21 billion external loan to fund the 2025 national budget. Framed by government as essential for infrastructure, development, and economic growth, can the country afford another massive loan, or is this yet another addition to a growing financial burden that future generations will bear? As the funds generation are earmarked for key sectors, public scrutiny now shifts to whether the promised projects will deliver tangible benefits or become lost in the bureaucracy and poor implementation. It's another beautiful episode on your favorite primetime show, the final episode for the week. My name remains Osayoma Sally, and today our focus is on the 2025 budget funding and the Senate approval of the 21 billion loan request made by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now remember, Ways is all about you. You are the wine Ways. So be a part of the conversation every single day by adding your voice to the discussion. You can also head on to our YouTube channels at Official Upgrade TV, hit the subscribe button, like, share, and invite families and friends to watch and join the show right now. When I open the phone lines, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. As always, let me allow you ponder on my quote for the day. It says, the borrowing is already embedded in the 2025 Appropriation Act. With this approval, we now have all revenue sources, including loans, in place to fully fund the budget. And this was said by the chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriations, Senator Olamilekun Adiola. So we'll delve into all of this conversation much later. But first, as always, let me run off. When I come back, I'll let you in on my news interest for the day. All right. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party in 2023 elections, Peter Obi, has criticized the federal government's practice of conferring national honors on politicians. He said the Grand Commander of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that is the GCFR, and the Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger, that's GCON, should be for entrepreneurs and productive people, not politicians. Says we have to change the way we honor people. The former governor of Anambra State praised Igbinedian's contribution to aviation, education, and the preservation of Nigeria's cultural heritage, insisting that achievers like him deserve more celebrations and recognition from the nation. Obi's remark, of course, come amid public debate over the recent conferral of national honors and, of course, cash and houses gifts to the Super Falcons following their victory at the AFCON. Of course, many Nigerians have argued for equal recognition of individuals contributing to the education, healthcare, and, of course, the security architecture of our country. So, yeah, what do you think? National honors. Well, maybe when I get there, I would understand what this means. But I'm just saying that I hear. I think the Falcons were deserving of the honors again because I mean they've brought a lot of joy and prestige to the country. I hear, but it depends. I wouldn't say just throw a blanket on it to say no for politicians. If we have politicians that are working and they're impacting their people, right, and we can see visible results and tangible results, I don't see any reason for them not to be conferred, national honors, as long as they are deserving of what is, and they're doing things that are honorable. So that's what I think. It shouldn't be that, nobody should be excluded from being honored, right, at the national level. It should just be that you don't just give it to your friends. It has to be people that are deserving of it, that their work is obvious to the world that, yes, these people have actually contributed to Nigeria. I think, yeah, I would say that would be my own take on the story. So I'll move on to the next story. The staff union at Lagos University have declared an indefinite strike. Effective immediately. Over unresolved issues with the university management, the Joint Action Committee, comprising of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities and Non-Academic Staff Union and National Association of Academic Technologists, announced the decision in a letter dated July 31st, 2025, addressed to the Vice Chancellor, Professor Ibiemi Olatunji Bello. The release directed all members of staff of the university and its affiliate campuses at the Lagos State University College of Medicine, Ikeja, and Lagos State University Ekpe campus to withdraw their services and vacate their official duty posts with immediate effect. This strike action will be in force indefinitely until all demands of staff members are met by the appropriate authorities. Okay, so we're going to wait till next week. We'll look for someone within the union to understand what exactly is their demands. Yeah, I think strike seems to be the only language a lot of people understand in this country. So we'll speak to someone in the union to understand what the challenges are, I'll move on to my final story. No fewer than 6 million candidates who sat for the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination in the last 5 academic sessions failed to secure admission into the Nigerian universities, right, and other tertiary institutions. So between 2020 and 2024, over 8.9 candidates took the annual entrance exams conducted by the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board. However, only 2.7 million were admitted, leaving a staggering 6 million stranded, many of whom were forced to re-register, retake the examination in subsequent years. Among the affected 6 million candidates are over 5,000 candidates who scored 300 and above out of the 400 score in the UTME. In the 2020-2021 academic session, a total of 1.949983 candidates sat for the UTME exam, but only 551,553 admission quota were filled, according to the JAM policy meeting document for 2021. So this is where we say that we have issues in this country. So when we are shouting and crying about, the strain within the educational sector, this is one of the biggest challenges. So it's not enough for you to even write your JAM or pass. Where are the educational bodies that will be able to absorb the growing number of people? So again, don't forget that, yes, there might be private universities springing up everywhere, but how many parents can actually afford it? We saw the reports on the dentistry students that would I call it oversubscribed issues that they had, leaving a lot of people stranded. It's just a lot of, would I call it unplanned or unprepared, would I say, unprepared leadership deficiency or something like, how would I put it, that is causing some of these things? Because again, if you fail to plan, of course, it means you're setting up yourself for failure. Most of our university structures that we have right now, they cannot meet up with the current demand, and they can also not meet up with the population. Our population is growing by the minute, and I hear by 2030, we will be one of the top 5 most populated countries in the world. So it is not something that happens on us, or that would happen on us. It's something that is happening, and we're seeing it. People are saying it. Is the fact that we're not planning for what is coming. That is where I have a problem. And I'm happy that we're talking about budgets today, because again, when you talk about infrastructure and you're talking about, infrastructure, what's the definition of the government? What does the government define as infrastructure? Is it building of roads, putting street lights and all those things? Are those the kind of infrastructure we need? Or we need much more than that? All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation of the budget. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
The Nigerian Senate has officially approved President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's request to secure an external loan of over $21 billion to support the implementation of the 2025 national budget. This move, which forms a part of the government's broader borrowing plan, is aimed at financing critical infrastructure and development projects across key sectors. Now, these sectors are transportation, power, health, education, and agriculture. The loan package, which also includes components in euros, yuan, domestic bond, is expected to bridge the nation's budget deficit and, of course, stimulate economic growth. So, however, the decision has stirred, as we all know, public debate, with concerns raised about Nigeria's rising debt profile and long-term implications for fiscal sustainability. So, joining me to have this conversation are Lester Wilcox. He is a chartered accountant and a public policy analyst, and he's joined me via Zoom. Thank you so much for joining me, Alexa.
Thank you for having me. It's always my pleasure. Thank you.
All right. So, let me just quickly give an overview, right? July 22nd to 23rd, 2025, the Senate formally approved the President's external borrowing plan for the 2025-2026 fiscal cycle, and the package totals approximately $21.8 billion, right? So if you break down the borrowing package, it means we have direct foreign loans of $21.19 billion. In some reports, right, they say it's $21.8 billion. Additional components will be 4 billion euros, $102 million, and about 65 million euros in grants, right? There's also a domestic borrowing of about 2 billion via foreign currency dominated instruments in Nigeria's domestic market. That should be roughly about 758 billion in bonds to clear pension arrears under the contributory pension scheme. Targeted sectors and key sectors of the fund are earmarked for capital intensive sectors. So we're talking infrastructure. And according to the report, 3 billion has been allocated to reconstruct the Eastern Rail Corridor from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri, spanning about over 2,000 square kilometer. Power, transportation, health, agriculture, housing, security, and digital connectivity. All of those things, structure and terms of disbursement will be talked about. So please help me break down why we need $21 billion, loan from the government. All these jargons that I've just said.
Well, thank you for having me, and I like this. I should help you to break it down. Unfortunately, I do not have all the policy documents that was available to the Senate during their deliberation in order to arrive at the appropriateness of the loan. But let me say this: I like your last story. Let me just digress a bit. I like your last story with respect to the issue of placement in our universities. Mm-hmm. And you can see, and I'm happy you made mention of the fact that we are sitting on a time bomb. And this is exactly one advocacy has been carrying out for the past 3 years. Unfortunately, we are not checking our population growth. Now, you were just mentioning the government. You're not looking at households and the contributory effect to this malady by we, the households. Now, the rate of population growth, either, and unfortunately, and I'm just digressing, sorry, unfortunately, we're having an unproductive population. It's like saying, okay, people, we are poor, and the poor is procreating more and expanding the circle of poverty. And at the end of the day, everybody blames the government. Now, imagine.
So before you move on, before you move on, because since you went there, let me follow you there. Now, when you talk about the people and their own responsibility to control population, you remember what happened in China. It's not, see, these things are not, it's not like the people would not have a responsibility in all of this mix, right? But sometimes if we do not have rules, right, anything goes. I hope you understand. If the government already sees that this population will become a problem for us, they can start to intentionally put those rules, be proactive. That was what China did. And they say one child, let me just land. One child per household, right?
I understand where you are going. This is not our main topic. I understand where you are going. And of course, airtime is tight. Let me say this. In 1988-89, the Nehru Bangladesh administration muted this idea when we discovered that we are 89 million after population count, that we are about 89 point something million. And the Bangladesh administration muted the idea. Now, let me tell you, the backlash came from both religious angles and the civil society. I can mention specifically the Catholic Church was vehemently and said contraception is not part of Christianity, not part of their context. The Muslims said no, it's not part of their destiny. Both North and South, they rejected it. So that is the way I'm talking about people's responsibility. Even if the government puts a law, how effective would that law be? Is it not you that will check yourself? You know your level, you know how you are managing your life, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids living in one room. So are you not thinking that in the next 5, 10 years, what will happen? So it is where we have a response. Of course, the government needs to come up. I'm sure that the government does not discuss population issues. I've not been hearing the government talk about population issues. I'm not hearing much about contraception. I'm not hearing about population education. I'm not hearing about those kind of things on the social media and even in the conventional media. I'm not hearing about things like that in the policy. It's just like the government, government come, government go, because we have a democratic government. And so after 4 years or 8 years, this one leaves. So it doesn't bother them what happens. But now it takes you and you alone to know what will happen, because the problem is getting worse. Remember, food production is decreasing, and that's why we have high cost of living. food production is decreasing by the day because population is expanding. The land tenure is reducing because areas that hitherto used to be for agriculture are now used for housing, provision of private schools and universities and all whatnot. So a lot of things are going wrong. And until the government and the people wake up and take a holistic idea to say, in the next 30 years, in the next 10 years, what's going to happen to us? Because it's going to get worse by the day. If we don't speak about it, and if no concrete action is taken to stem the tide. Anyway, that's just
so let's move on from that. $21 billion is what the government has asked for, and they said that this borrowing will be structured to be disbursed over the next 6 years, not solely in this 2025. So it's a structured disbursement, right?
Yes.
Tell me why, first of all.
That's exactly where I'm going.
So if it is structured, why are we saying that this money is going to go towards the 2025-2026 fiscal year? And why are we even borrowing in the first place? Do we need $21 billion?
Okay, I'm not holding brief for the government. I'm talking theoretically and in line with my profession. Every government borrows at every point in time, and it's the compulsory. You know why? Income of government does not come in one fell swoop. Income of government comes in trickles. For instance, people pay their taxes at odd days, at different days, and so these things now commingled into one huge sum. And because government budgets, no government has all the funds at once to meet those budgets. I don't want to go to the appropriation of the propriety or the relevance of some of the items we find in the budget. Of course, our budgeting process is filled with corruption and over bloated budgets, padding and all whatnot. But if we look at it holistically, government will always need funds in order to keep government running. Government borrows every day. I don't know if you know something about treasury bills. Treasury bills are issued every month by the government to raise money from the society, from the public. It's part of borrowing. Now, why does the government need Senate approval? Because whenever you want to take a foreign loan, by law, you must apply to the Senate for that approval, which the government has done. So I do not know the documents or the kind of nitty-gritty documents that is presented to the Senate. And if the Senate did a due diligence and thorough understanding of what they are approving, and if this money so approved will be taken at the right time and be deployed in order to make the right impact.
Okay, so can we work with the information that we have in the general public that says that, this allocation or this new loan would, go into infrastructure? So they're saying around the Port Harcourt to Maiduguri corridor, power, transportation, health, education, agriculture, housing, and then, of course, digital connectivity, right? So meaning that, we're talking all the internet and all those services and all of that would help us, maximize technology. The point I'm trying to make is we had a president that announced at the very day he was sworn in that subsidy was gone. Prior to subsidy, you are an accountant, I believe, Abi. So prior to subsidy, there was a lot of money that was going towards subsidy. So when he announced that subsidy was gone, the normal thinking that a small businesswoman in my small brain that I'm thinking is that the money that I have saved from subsidy should be able to then be channeled into other things, right? This is not the first time President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is borrowing. He has borrowed several times, right? And people keep on asking this same question because it seems like you are the person that took away subsidy. If other previous administrations were borrowing, it is understandable. But the amount of money that was saved, what was it used for? Where is the document that shows, okay, this is how much that has been recovered from subsidy, and this is how much, this is where it is going to. We don't have all of those documents. All we keep on seeing.
Okay, madam, let me. You are taking too much of it now. I understand where you are going. So let me also try to. It's unfortunately we have too much of emotive and too much of lack of understanding of the workings of our federation. And so most times, I've never worked for government before. I've never been in any government position. I'm not a politician. I only try to explain to people certain misinformation that people always carry on, and that gives a lot of apprehension to people with us because there was no proper understanding. Now let's take the issue of subsidy removal. Yes, the government removed every subsidization of fuel, and if you watch, and they also float the naira, which makes a lot of funds available to government. Now, if you have taken due care, you will discover that the money accruable to the federation account, which is where the subsidies and everything goes into, has almost tripled. Last month alone, the federation account shared 1.8 trillion. Now, before now, we have things like 600 million, billion, 500 billion, 800 billion. We've never gotten to any month where government revenue gets to the trillion in a month for the 3 tiers of government to share. So the subsidy you are talking about is shared among the 3 tiers of government. So these are the things that the press should have an understanding and educate people so that we don't get too apprehensive.
No, but that is why you are here to educate us now.
Yes, and begin to carry on some motive that does not exist. The money removed from subsidy did not go to the federal government alone. Every money that is collectible in Nigeria in those arms goes to the federation account. Federation account is shared among the 3 tiers of government. Now, the federal government takes about 52%, the state government takes about 26%, and the local government takes 20%. Now, if you look, last month alone, 1.8 trillion was shared. That is for last month. 1.8 trillion naira was shared. The federal government got about 900 billion, I can't remember. The state government got about 700 billion, and the local government about 400 billion. So this money is shared among, so the money is with both the federal government, the state government, and the local government. But unfortunately in Nigeria, nobody cares about what happens at the state and local government. Everybody's attention is at the federal, and that's where we are getting it all wrong. Everybody's attention is at the federal government. Everybody looks about the federal government budget.
So you don't blame, let me explain something to you. You will not blame an average Nigerian, because why? Our governance structure has given so much power at the center. So if there's anything that is happening, the governance structure, okay, I allowed you to, can I land? The governance structure gives the power, a lot of power to the center, and that's why for every time there's an issue, a lot of people will revert back, to the government, the federal government most especially. But you see, Senator Sani Musa said that there actually is no economy that grows without borrowing. That what the government is currently doing is in line with global best practices. The only question we are having is that we have had a lot of issues around transparency, accountability, and the genuine will to want to judiciously use the income that is coming for things that are important. But several times we have seen that in this and not just with this government, with every other government, right? You borrow money and you are using those funds instead of you to project those funds, push those funds to things that would generate income. You are pushing those funds to things that could never come back as income. Further deepening our debt profile. So that is where the issue is.
Yeah, madam, that is what we should be having. Now, let me also correct you. I agree totally with you with your last submission. That is the real discussion we should be having. Not about the borrowing. Like Sani said, no country can survive without borrowing. America today, part of the problem they're having with Donald Trump is that they're increasing the debt, the deficit by about 2 trillion because of the budget that he made. So it is not true that the federal government has all the powers in Nigeria. No, because we don't understand the workings of our federation. Nobody cares to read the schedules, the exclusive list, the concurrent list, and the other exclusive list by the state and local government. Everything about primary, secondary schools are responsibilities of states and local governments in the Nigeria. But everybody, if a school is applied, they call the federal government because they don't know. They allow the state governors to run riot with their resources. A lot of money is in the states. But because the states governors know that nobody will call them, they will only call the federal government. So they will allow secondary schools to be dilapidated. They will allow hospitals to be dilapidated. Primary health care is local government. Secondary health care, which is general hospitals, are for state government. Federal government only has tertiary health care as far as the budget is concerned. It's just that unfortunately over time, because it looks like we run an injury system, the federal government seems to have covered everybody because of the long reign of military, because military is unitary. Since we came back to democracy, everybody keeps looking at the federal government. Nobody cares about what happened in the states. The states are the ones that touches you more, that should, hold on, madam, that should carry out all these things we are talking about. Now, federal government has to do with power, with transportation, yes, with currency, with foreign affairs, with defense, with security. Those are federal government concerned. But those ones, agriculture is a state government activity because the state owns the land. Now, back to what you said about the borrowing. Unfortunately, where I have a problem is transparency. I just said it in my opening remark. Unfortunately, our budget is not transparent. We have padded budget over time. We have misplaced priority. We have wrong application of funds. We have over invoicing. A road that should cost 200 million will be awarded for 2 billion. And so there is a lot of corruption and inefficiency in the system. That is where the problem is. And that is where we all should be putting emphasis on. Borrowing is okay. You must borrow because no government has the resources to meet its budgetary obligation. No. There has never been a balanced budget anywhere in the world, apart from maybe a few banana republics and small islands. But in terms of real economic growth, you need that borrowing to sustain it. But now, what do they do with the money? How can the government, under this government, spend 39 billion to renovate a conference center? I mean, it's appalling. How can you spend 39 billion to renovate a conference center? Is that a priority? You don't have power. You don't have water in FCT. You don't have good roads in the hinterland. The primary schools do not look like what befits a federal capital territory, and you are spending tax. So you can see where the misplaced priorities are. We spend money over invoicing. Contracts are awarded with reckless abandon. Government offices are the most lucrative to work. Just get a position. You have become rich overnight, both at the federal, at the state, and local government. Go and see the life of these new councillors that are just elected. I'm talking about the local government now. The new councillors are just elected. Go and see their life just after a month. They will have bought them brand new cars. They will have located from their domain to maybe a high-brow area. So these are where we should be putting emphasis on.
So this is why I go back.
Well spent.
So this is why I go back to my initial question that do we really need a loan? But we'll take a break, right? When we come back from that break, because what you said now, you have further helped me, to make my point clear. Because where we are right now, we have funds, but the funds are being channeled to things, in my opinion, that I feel that are completely not needed. We have a lot of deficit. And when you talked about what the state controls, what the federal government controls, and what the local government controls, I 100% agree with you. And I did not say that the federal government has all the powers. I said we have made the federal government is powerful, and that cannot be denied. The second part is that most of the institutions that are moribund are federal government schools. Most of them, because I've seen that a lot of state government schools, they are trying as much. I mean, in Lagos State, for instance, the state schools are doing a lot better. They are, the secondary schools are being renovated, and work is going on. You can see that. But let's take a break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation. All right, thanks for staying tuned. Now, if you just tuned in, today's conversation focuses on the 2025 budget funding. And of course, Senate approving the $21 billion loan request that was made by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. Our phone lines are now open, 070250077749 or 0701424220. And I still have my guest with me, Mr. Wilcox. All right, thank you so much for staying tuned. Now, the point about whether we need this loan is what I want us to just drive at. Because if you look at the spending behavior or the spending culture of government across both federal, state, you just rightfully mentioned that some of these local government council people are that they have been newly elected. You will see them upgrading their houses, upgrading their cars and all of that. The spending culture of the government does not suggest that they are actually looking for money. Because I should believe that if you are borrowing, it is because there is something ahead and you do not have the funding to be able to meet that project that you're trying to do. So a rightful thinking person, you will borrow as a businessman, right? You will borrow to want to then kind of improve on your quality of maybe output or whatever that would eventually bring back that return to be able to pay back that loan, right? So do we truly need this $21 billion that the president has gotten this approval for? You're muted. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Am I okay?
Yes, you are.
Just like I said, until we improve our governance structure in terms of transparency and in terms of quality and dedication of those who run our government, not just the government, not just the politicians, even the civil servants. They're even as more corrupt than the so-called politicians. I mean, the politicians will be there for 4 years or 8 years, but the civil servants is there for 35 years. Go to universities and see the level of corruption in our Nigerian universities, both state and federal. And I'm sorry, I don't agree with you that the state schools are better. Federal government has only 152 secondary schools in Nigeria. That's the federal schools. That's the federal government schools. I mean, about 152 or 162. That's the only secondary school the federal government has. And of course, go and see them. They are better. They are better funded than if we are lucky to be in Lagos to have good schools in Lagos. Are you sure you can have good schools in Ogun State, or in your, I don't know where you are from, or you go to Benue, or you go to Delta State? Are you sure you're going to have good schools? Maybe Lagos is just a shining example, and that cannot be used to compare what happens in all the states and local governments. But Nigerians do not really need all this borrowing, and I must agree with you. If what we have is judiciously spent, I think President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is very ambitious. If you see our budget, the last budget Buhari made was about 27 trillion, a bit 21 trillion, I can't remember. Bola Ahmed Tinubu's budget last year was about over 36 trillion. And this year, the budget is about 54 trillion, over 50 trillion. So he's ambitious in order to grow the economy. He said he wants to grow a $1 trillion economy. I understand his rush to achieve that target. That's another economic discussion. So, but in doing so, we are now seeing a lot of fraudulent practices, over invoicing, not just by the politicians. And see what I'm talking about. If we keep blaming the politicians as our major problem, then we'll lose the mark. Both politicians, civil servants, everybody that finds themselves in government institutions are guilty of all these crimes. Like I just mentioned, the universities. Go and see teaching hospitals. Even when the funds that are being sent to them, how do they use it? The funds that are sent to teaching hospitals, have you seen the quality of healthcare you have in teaching hospitals? Have you seen that some universities, the students are sitting, students are sitting on, in fact, on benches, on cement, on blocks to take lectures? We are more not appropriate to them. Do you know how much universities make after any post-UTME exams? Do you know how much they make? So this problem cuts across the rot in the Nigerian system.
But why is there a lingering rot in the system? You know, the truth about some of these things is that
because we all accept it.
That is where we are going. Because you can't divorce one thing from another, right? Let me tell you, somebody did an analogy before. When we heard that somebody was stealing money, it was small money. Now they're stealing trillions. It is because the more you accept it, it's like a cancer. It keeps getting wider and wider. And that's why for me...
The society have accepted it. Let me say this. Society have accepted because if your brother goes into government and come out poor, the entire village will go against him. They will abuse him. They will call him names. It is a societal thing. The society have accepted it because the moment somebody selected a councillor, everybody on that street wants to come and collect money from him. They want to tell him how their children have not paid school fees. They want to tell him how their wife just gave birth. They want to tell him how their parents are sick, just from a councillor. So you accepted that the man is going to steal. So society have accepted what we are facing through now. And I think it takes maybe a stronger force that will come and beat everybody's head beat everybody's head back to sanity. Because if people, the moment those who are outside now, they are criticizing because they are not in. The moment they get opportunity, in fact they say it's their own national cake. And we've gotten to that level where society have accepted the wrong things. Society have accepted the evil thing. Society have accepted the fraud and corruption. Now you are talking about people stealing billions. Of course, if they steal just small thousands here, what would they do? They will go to jail. But when you steal millions, you can afford to hire sons. You can afford to get to the judge. You can afford to hire son that knows both the law and knows the judge. Have you not heard of how judges are so corrupt in this country?
How much faith do you have in this legislative arm of government that we have? Do you see that they are being thorough? Yeah.
I do not want to cast aspersion on the gentlemen and women that are in our National Assembly. Let their conscience be their judge. But if you want to talk about their work rate, Nigerians, and in fact, even me, I'm not satisfied with how much they have carried on themselves as a legislature. I mean, we saw what happened in the River State case, where legislatures go against their own rule in order to please the president. I don't have anything against the president. But you see, look, anybody can be authoritarian. Today in America, Trump is being authoritarian. It takes the court to want to stop Trump. He has majority. He has majority in the House. He has majority in both houses. That is why you see that most of the policies go through. But of course, with proper scrutiny and a lot of back end discussions. Even some of his party men go against him. So sometimes the votes are very slim because 1, 2, 3, 4 party men will go against him. That shows how people that have integrity and conscience work. Even though sometimes they approve everything that Trump brings for them, but it doesn't come on a platter of gold. It comes with a lot of discussions. But in Nigeria, it's not so. It's discovered that anything comes. Look at the River State case. Instead of the Senate or the House to do head count, no, they just did a voice vote on something that needs a head count. So that tells you that Nigerians, I'm not satisfied that these noble gentlemen and women, fathers and mothers, that Nigerians have entrusted their mandate to, can deliver the goods to them. So also to the judiciary, we are seeing decisions that defies logic. We are seeing decisions that defies any form of logic, any form of sensibility. Again, I bring the River State issue to tell you how deep we have gone into the abyss of our national rebirth in this country. It's sad, it's unfortunate. And so that is why anybody can do anything they like. The government can ask for 21 billion. There is no accountability. Nobody will ask you how it is spent. Nobody, that is, because it is like you just share it. I mean, if a contract is awarded for 15 trillion, how many people see the contract document? if the FCT will spend 39 billion to renovate, I'm not saying build, renovate a conference center, that does not even meet the quality of government I saw in Rwanda, does not meet the government I saw in Malaysia, does not meet the government that I've seen in 20 places, and you spend 39 billion to renovate.
Yeah,
Renovate. We're talking about renovation.
For something that was built for far, far less than that. You know, talking about trillions.
For far less.
Talking about trillions, there's a report that says that the federal government approved about 3.5 trillion for roads, airports, and others, you know. And again, somebody just dropped a comment on YouTube. Saleh says, just in, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has charged state governors to prioritize the welfare of Nigerians by investing more in their future, putting more money in rural electrification, agricultural mechanization, poverty eradication, and infrastructure. Mr. Wilcox, how do we, because whether we like it or not, this money has been approved and there's nothing we can do about it. As a way of solution, how do we find a solution to push, to monitor this kind of funding?
The money has been approved, but it has not been disbursed. Like you said, it's a 6-year borrowing plan. Sometimes Nigerians should not be confused plan with actual. Now, maybe, it's good that the country is still credit-worthy, that they can still have ability to borrow. Now, that in itself should give everybody joy that the country still have the ability to borrow. Not that we are a bad debtor. No, we are not. And also forget that most of the money we are getting now, we're also servicing old debt, the one that Tinubu did not borrow. We've been servicing debts borrowed since only God knows when. So some of the money is used to service those debts. The last, the borrowing plan is the fact that you can now borrow for the next 6 years. It has been approved. So the government does not need to come to the National Assembly every time to request for permission to borrow when the needs arise. Now, they can always draw down if the sources are available. And it's a good thing that Nigerian government will not be comatose. That is, will not be stranded at any point. And there is liquidity to keep running the government. But like you said, it is now the authenticity of the services provided, the cost-benefit analysis, the value for money audit that needs to be done, but unfortunately, that is not done. The last text you read is very pronounced. State governors are just doing what they are not supposed to be doing. Look at Ogun State government going to build airports where they should be building farm settlements. How many governments have farm settlements in this country? How many state governments have farm settlements? Today we're having food crisis. We are having food crisis. Food production is low. Population is exploding. Food production is decreasing. And everybody is looking up to the president. Meanwhile, the federal government does not have land in Nigeria. The land belongs to the state government. Instead of building farm settlements to provide more food, state governments are building airports that do not serve any value.
But you see, this is where I say that when there is no law, no checks and balances, this is why anyhowness will continue to happen. Because if one governor that went to build, if a governor went to build airport before and he was arrested by the federal government, no governor will try it again. It is because of the lawlessness that happens.
The federal government do not have power over state resources. The federal government cannot arrest
what you are saying. I hear you, and I'm saying to you, that if there were impunitive, measures, right? If you do anyhow, you see anyhow.
Assembly. No, it is the state house of assembly that should control their governors. But unfortunately, the state assemblies are appendages of the governors. If the state assembly, whoever should punish the governor, it is sub-assembly. If the state assembly is up to their task, just like National Assembly should be up to their task, governors will be checked. They will not be carrying out any kind of project. But of course, what do you have? The governor will take budget to the state assembly. The same day, there will be no hearing, it will be passed. How many of us know our state government budgets? Rather, the man will go and build airport, he will go and build a bridge that has no value.
Okay.
In Ibadan, Shema was busy building motor parks.
Okay, let's move on.
Motor parks.
Because we
Come
barely
on.
have like 5 minutes to wrap up this conversation. Loan tenures likely range between 20 to 35 years. If Nigeria were your company, how would you do it differently? Because as it is now, you just rightly alluded to the fact that most of this money that they are using, they are borrowing, they are using it to pay other people's loans that they've taken in the past. Right? It means that it's going to continuously be a vicious cycle. If we truly want to move forward in this country and truly have that economic liberation, right, what would be a more decent approach, to our unique economic challenges and how we can start to really rejig the economy without having to do things that will further indebt us into problems?
Very simple. A rebirth. Very simple. A total mind rebirth. A total religious rebirth. A total value rebirth. A total whatever value. We'll just put the value proposition rebirth. Until we stop. You see, you cannot be doing the same thing the same way and expect a different result. That is insanity. Until we stop celebrating those that we cannot account for their source of wealth. Today, wealth reigns both in society, in churches, in mosques. Just get the money, come and give testimony. Nobody cares how you get it. Nobody cares how it comes about. Get the money, buy up the whole house on your street, and you are good to go. Just throw nairas on the street for people. Everybody's poor. Everybody believes they are poor. So until there is a national moral rebirth, if there is none, if we keep celebrating riches and celebrating ill-gotten wealth, people will continue to go there. And our law enforcement has been so consumed, overwhelmed, and consumed by this rat race. They are also interested in feeding their own nest. The judiciary that should be the last hope, that should be our savior, has been brought to its lowest ebb. Today, judges are no longer respected. Only a poor man goes to jail. Only a poor man goes to jail. So long as you can afford a lawyer that knows both the law and the judge, you are good to go. That is the malady we are in, as far as our national treasury is concerned. And of course, until we get some honest people in government that their moral compass will check them, and we have an upright judiciary and an upright law enforcement mechanism. That is the only time we can have our country checked. If not, forget all these people that are shouting out that, they are creating this government, they want to go there and they want to do A, B, C, D. It's a lie. They will get there. They've seen that there's more money in government now. So government is more lucrative now than before. There is so much money in government now. There is so much free funds out of this fuel subsidy removal. So everybody wants to go there and get their own share. That is just what is happening. It's a rat race. So anybody coming to tell you, I want to go and solve hunger, I want to go and solve poverty, it's a lie.
Thank you.
A lie.
Thank you so much for your time.
Let us just get an understanding of our federation and be able to educate our people how to be upright. Let's stop celebrating people that we cannot account for their source of wealth. That's the only way we can make some progress in this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wilcox, for your time.
I will say, may God bless Nigeria and may God continue to protect our troops. Thank you very much.
Amen. Thank you. God will bless Nigeria, and God has given us the wisdom to be able to, make ourselves a blessing. Food security is still a far cry. A bag of fertilizer is 50K and above. At this rate, food prices cannot come down locally. Yeah, I believe so. I just wanted to add that, just to say, apart from the moral compass, right, if a government was truly thinking outside of the box, we are in the era where we have the capacity for collaborative work, right? There are people that have funding, but you see, the government must step aside, then let those people come in with the funds and run it properly and see if this country will not change. It's not everything that the government must put their hand inside. You can just facilitate it. So if I have, maybe hectares of land, as a government, give me some kind of concessions when I'm importing my machineries, my equipment, my processing plants, and all of that. It should come at zero tariffs and all, so that when the food start to come, it will come at a cheaper price. There are so many creative ways that we can run this economy without having to go and be borrowing more money or spending money that is not meant to be spent on certain kinds of ridiculous projects. So it is just the ability to manage what it is that we have. Because I'll repeat it again, if Nigeria were your country or your personal business, would you run it the way you are running it? This is the question I would ask every single person that has the capacity to hold any position of authority today, that controls, resources. Would you run your business the way you are running that state, that local government, the federal government? Would you run it that way? If the answer is no, then you're doing the wrong thing. It's a simple thing, right? So let's not just kid ourselves. We need to be very, very interested and vested in the growth of Nigeria. And at that point, your personal interest must be suspended, meaning you're not thinking of how to enrich your pocket or enrich your generation or your future generations to come. On this note, I rest my case. All right, thank you so much again for watching. We'll see you guys. Before we go, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We apologize to people watching us on Plus TV. We'll definitely try to resolve that. But keep interacting with us on YouTube. Share the links because we're not able to go live on Plus TV for the meantime. So keep sharing the YouTube links. That's the only way people can catch the show for now. And of course, our GoTV partners at R2TV channel 145. So please keep watching. And if you missed today's quote, it is, the borrowing is already embedded in 2025 Appropriation Act. With this approval, we now have all revenue sources, including loans, in place to fully fund the budget. And this was from the chairman of the committee. We'll see you guys Monday at 8 p.m. Enjoy your weekend and the rest of your evening.